Hello everybody and welcome to this video. No, this sounded... You'd think that I could do intros now. Hello everybody and welcome to this video. I hope you're all doing great. In case you don't know me, my name is Viv. I have a slight issue with collecting too many books for my own good, but it's what I do. And today I'm gonna be telling you all about my favorite romance books. So all of the books that I have here are either new adult or young adult books. I don't really read a lot of dark romance, so there's nothing dark romancy in here. Just because I don't really feel that comfortable with it, it's not really my thing. But if it's your thing, then that's incredible. But yeah, those are my favorites. And I'm going to tell you all about them. Okay, so the first book I'm going to be talking to you about is not just romance, it's also like a little bit of fantasy, but not that it would actually be a fantasy book. That was so confusing. Okay, I'm just gonna show you. I'm talking about The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston. This book just made me feel warm and happy. The Dead Romantics is about Florence, who's a ghostwriter for a very, very famous author, but she sort of has like writer's block because she's supposed to write a romance book, but she doesn't believe in romance anymore, and she gets a super hot new editor. And then something tragic happens and she has to go home to her family, and when she's home, somebody rings her doorbell and it's her super hot new editor, and he's dead. Because Florence and her dad can see ghosts. So Florence is trying to figure out what happened to like her boss essentially, and how he died, how she can help him, and why he hasn't passed over to the, like, afterlife yet, and why he's still stuck with her. And so both of them try to figure that out, and of course, they sort of fall in love, and it's beautiful, and I like it very much. This is just giving me warm feelings, and Florence family owns a funeral home, and I thought this was the most beautiful thing about this book, because the way that this book deals with like the topic of death was so beautiful, and the romance in this book was just so warm and cuddly, and it made me so happy, and it made me feel fuzzy, and I think that's all I want from a romance book. Speaking of warm and fuzzy, this seems to be like a theme here, because the next book also made me warm and fuzzy. And I'm talking about my all-time favorite, my comfort read, the book that I can never shut up about, Heartstopper. It's about Nick and Charlie and how they fall in love, and it's just warm. And in case you haven't heard of Heartstopper, I have to tell you, this is a graphic novel, so there's pictures, loads of pictures. So this was actually my first graphic novel for ages. The closest thing I've come to reading anything like this was like reading Marvel comic books, and that's been a while for me. But I really loved Heartstopper. I loved the developments. I loved how somehow Alice Oseman managed to give these people so much depth and have them struggle, and also have them have this beautiful relationship, and these books are all so incredible. They do deal with a lot of mental health issues, but Alice Oseman actually put all of like the trigger warnings on their website, so you can go to like Alice Oseman and then put in trigger warnings, and then you can look them all up. So Heartstopper itself deals with a lot of course, people who don't accept the two of them being together, but it also deals with anorexia and like mental illnesses in general, so if that is anything that triggers you, please read the trigger warnings before. But it's really cool, it's really warm, and overall this is a very positive book. You know, this isn't a book where you're like stressed out, this is just warm and fuzzy. Next up, I'm going to be talking about a book that I also mentioned a lot of times over on my Bookstagram, which is The Love Hypothesis. In case you don't know, I'm a biology student. I'm in my first master's semester of biology, and this is a book about biologists. So this is definitely a new adult book. There is a spice scene that is sort of like graphic and that is very well explained, I would say. If that isn't your cup of tea, you do you. I would just say, as a person who isn't really into spicy scenes, I mostly just skim over them and ignore them. It is possible in this book because it's just a chapter and it's not that important. But if you are really, really into spice, you would probably say that this book isn't exactly spicy. I'm sort of completely hung up on this topic of spice things. But yeah, you can say that my opinion on spice is always the same, whether it is in food or in books. It's okay, but it doesn't have to be there. The next book that I have on my list is a sports romance, and I would never have thought that this book would actually end up on any favorites shelf of mine, but we have The Goal. The Goal is part of the Off-Campus series. It's the 4th book. In general, I really enjoyed the Off-Campus series. It's just that The Goal was my favorite and the others were all okay and readable. So, the Off-Campus series actually follows a group of 4 hockey players as they make their way through college. And each book focuses on one of the hockey players and sort of their romance plot. The Goal is about Sabrina and Tucker, and I think the reason why this is my favorite book out of the series is because Tucker is just such a nice person, and he's always very forthcoming, and this is a book that is mostly focusing about the fact that Sabrina gets pregnant, and Tucker is just being so nice about it and respectful and telling her, hey, this is your decision to make. You can do whatever you want to and I'll support you. And I think this is really beautiful. I know that a lot of people think that Hannah and Garrett are the best couple, which is the one in the 1st book, which is The Deal. But my personal favorite is the 4th book. Next up we have a book that isn't so widely known and an author that also isn't that popular, I would say. And it is She Gets the Girl by Rachel Lippincott and Alison Derrick. So, quick thing about Alison Derrick and Rachel Lippincott, they are wives, so they're married. And why did I make this when I said they were married? They're married, and they wrote sort of a story in which they could see themselves. So this is sort of how they met, but also not really. It's just something that they wrote together with characters who either of them could relate to a lot. This is the classic storyline. I mean, you've read this 100 times, but this is really beautiful because the book is about Molly, and Molly has a huge crush on Cora, and when they both go to college, she's determined to act upon her crush on Cora. And Cora is actually a really nice person, but Molly's really shy, so Alex offers to help her. So Alex is very sure of herself, and she's very determined, and she wants to essentially help Molly get her girl. Of course, things don't always work out like that, and the two of them start beginning this beautiful friendship that might even become more than a friendship, and this is just beautiful in a way that it also gives me this comfortable feeling, and it's just, it's a cozy book, I feel like. It's very sweet, it's very fuzzy. All these books are fuzzy, and I think that's why I like them. I like fuzzy books. Fuzzy, warm books that make me feel protected. So the last 2 books that I have are actually by the same author. They're by Cassie McWinston, and you've heard about them. They are Red, White, and Royal Blue, and One Last Stop. So let's start with Red, White, and Royal Blue. So this book is about Henry and Alex. Alex is the son of the US president, and Henry is the Prince of England. They've met on multiple occasions and always hated each other. They've been rivals, they didn't like each other, they didn't know how to act around each other, and their parents think that, okay, the only way to solve, and then they had a really big fight on one of the big venues, and so the only way that their parents thought, okay, this is the only way we can avoid bad press, is to make them be friends. This is like an enemies to like sort of friends to lovers, and then again to like we argue and we're enemies and then we're lovers. It's perfect. And one last stop. So this is about, I'm not sure what they're called. August and Jane. So this book is about August and Jane. August just moved to New York and she moved into this really, really beautiful like roommate situation. And I think this is perfect because this has like a found family vibe to it with her and her roommates, and it's just also warm and fuzzy. August then starts to work at like a pancake store, I think. She starts to work at like a pancake house. And on the Q train in New York, she meets Jane. And Jane is this, she's just different, and it's a good different. It's not the kind of quirky, oh, I'm different, but Jane is really, she's different. She's like in her leather jacket, and she seems to be from a different time. And then they meet, they immediately hit it off, they're incredibly good together, and every time that she just gets on this train, Jane is there, and they soon figure out that Jane is actually part of the Q train since the 70s, and she cannot leave, and she's stuck in time on the Q. And they hit it off, they become friends, and August makes it her mission to get Jane off this train. And they try a lot of things. They try to figure out who Jane actually was. And it's just a beautiful sort of friends to lovers situation because they just, and you can feel it. You can feel their feelings in this book. And it's really cozy and fuzzy. I said fuzzy again. Damn it. But yeah, that was it. That were my all-time favorite romance books. If you've read any of these books, please tell me what you thought about them, if you enjoyed them as much as I did. If any of these are on your TBR, read them and tell me all about it afterwards. And if you have any like favorite romance books that you think I should definitely read, tell me about them too in the comments, and I will see you the next time. Goodbye! Can you tell that I really like warm and fuzzy romances? Also, I don't have that many romance books. So this section on the right here, that's my romance section, and the rest, all the 3 big shelves are all fantasy books. Because I don't really read a lot of romance, but I want to get back into like reading a lot of romance. I've never read a lot of romance, but I want to start. Makes sense, right?